I think that the answers to this evidence pair are pretty obvious. You just really need to read what they say, go where they tell you, match the ideas, and everything kind of lines up here. There's not much controversy to this. So find matching ideas is our way of making sure that we stick to the lines, right? If there's an idea in a choice, it needs to be in the line. If there's a line that we want to use, a line reference for these pairs, we need to make sure it answers the question. It matches with the ideas that we're being asked about. Now, we also have some bonus rules that can help guide us here. So if we think about how the evidence pairs are supposed to fit into the whole passage, remember, these also follow the chronology rule. And so we can use that a little bit to nudge us towards some answer choices. If we think about the questions that come before and after this pair, we can see that we need to look at lines 17 to 18 and line 30. So look, 17 to 18 would fit right in here. And line 30 would kind of match up with choice D. So knowing that the questions are in chronological order, we would expect the answer, number 25, to be between the line references for number 23 and number 26. So that's not looking good for choices A and B. D is on the cusp. I wouldn't eliminate it just based on the chronology rule. Though, in fact, I wouldn't eliminate any of these choices based on the chronology rule. We still need to look at them. But if choice C is the answer, that's very reassuring because it matches my expectations of what it should be. So let's still look at it and try to find matching ideas to prove that everything kind of matches our expectations. So what can reasonably be inferred about the reason Usherwood used northern bald ibises as the subjects of his study? So let's take a look. Lines 3 through 7, that's our first line reference. Still going to read it. So A new study of ibises finds that these big-winged birds carefully position their wingtips and sink their flapping, presumably to catch the preceding bird's updraft and save energy during flight. Okay, well, it talks about ibises. It doesn't say specifically anything about the northern, the northern bald ibis. So it seems like it's missing an important thing of why this particular bird was chosen. This is telling me about the result of the study, but it's not saying why we kind of designed the study around the ibis. So this, to me, is more proof that that choice is wrong because it doesn't answer the question. It needs to talk about the ibis, the northern bald's ibis. So let's keep going. Let's look at 10 through 12. 10 through 12. Squadrons of planes can save fuel by flying in a V formation, and many scientists suspect that migrating birds do the same. Again, not about the ibises, more about planes than anything else. Maybe the reason they chose the northern bald ibises is that it migrates, so maybe that's related, but I'm not feeling these choices. They don't seem to be hitting the main ideas that I need to match with from the question. So let's look at C, 22 to 24, right here. The study published in Nature took advantage of an existing project to reintroduce endangered northern bald ibises to Europe. So it's mentioning the bird, and it's saying why they chose the bird for the study. It was because of an existing project. That's like the classic home run of matching ideas, right? It literally is saying exactly what the question is telling us it needs to say. It talks about the northern bald ibises, and it tells us why they chose them. This is the answer. Let's look at D just to be sure and compare, but look, that's the home run. 29 to 31. The device's GPS determined each bird's flight position to within 30 centimeters, and an accelerometer showed the timing of the wing flaps. Well, again, that's just how the study proceeded, but it's not telling us why we chose the bird for the study in the first place. So all of these choices have nothing to do with why they picked the bird, except choice C, which is obviously going to be our right answer. Now, this is rare. Remember, when we do evidence pairs, normally I end up having multiple answer choices remaining at this step. It's very rare for me to get down to just one answer and be very confident in it, but occasionally it does happen. I think this is that rare case where I'm very confident that line reference C is going to be right, so I'm just going to circle it. But, look, if I started doing 24 and had second thoughts, then I need to be open-minded and flexible and be willing to change that line reference, and change my mind. So let's look at 24, though. We know our answer. It has to do with an existing project. So The ibises were well acquainted with their migration route. No, nothing to do with that. I mean, that's probably true, but they didn't choose them because of the migratory route. They chose them because there was an existing project. So, no. B, Usherwood knew the ibises were familiar with carrying data loggers during migration. No. I mean, he doesn't know that. It doesn't say that. It says that they chose them because an existing project was there. So that's what we're looking for. This does not match with that idea that is explicitly in the lines. C, the ibises had a body design that is similar to that of a modern airplane. No. Now notice these choices all have something to do with the other line references. So it's easy to make matches with a choice and a line reference that kind of have similar ideas. But when we have an evidence pair, everything needs to line up. The choice needs to be supported by the line reference, and they both need to answer the original question. Now let's look at D here. The ibises were easily accessible for Usherwood and his team to track and observe. Why were they easily accessible? Because there was an existing project. It's perfect. It's a perfect fit. Perfect fit. Now, one word that scares people a lot when they do these questions is a word like inferred. People think that that makes a question harder, but I hope that this put that to rest. This is not a harder question. Yeah, it doesn't explicitly say that the ibises were easily accessible, but we're making a very, very quick, reasonable assumption based on the fact that there was an existing project. It does not need a huge leap of logic for us to think that, oh, if there was an existing project, then it was easy for him to use these birds. Like, that is the most common sense explanation. And that's what, when something is inferred from a line, that's as far as we need to go. We should not have to jump through a million hoops to make our choice fit with what we're told. It should be so obvious and common sense that it's just like one sentence, a few words to tie the choice to the lines. So I did that, right? I asked a question. Why were the ibises easily accessible? Because of an existing project. Done. So I will be very confident in this pair. This is, in fact, one of the easier evidence pairs that I've ever seen. And it's because the ideas match so perfectly between the lines, the choices, and the original question. Try to take advantage of those situations, and that's why we break it down and look at smaller words. It's easier to notice those matches and get the questions right.